I've been an appointment setter for the last 9 months, and the one thing I've realized over that time is that most appointment setters never see success. And matter of fact, most appointment setters are set up to fail before they even get started. They're more of a headache for the sales manager, for the founder of an offer, than they are a cash producing teammate. And they're revolving doors. Every month at the beginning, you have a whole group of new setters coming in. The energy's good, you feel good, they got good mindsets, everything looks good, and by the end of the month or the end of 90 days, you have just as many that are heading out that it didn't work out. So in this video, I'm going to walk through the actual systems, the process, and the numbers, most importantly, to see success with appointment setters. Everything I've used actually as an appointment setter to do over 500 B2B appointments and over $1 million in revenue generated from my appointments being set to closers over these past 9 months. So let's dive into it. First and foremost, what is the purpose of an appointment setter? And more importantly, what are they actually doing? What is their job? What will make this a success for both them and the business owner? The only job of an appointment setter is simply to turn more leads into qualified book calls from your already proven to convert funnel. Okay, ideally you have leads coming in already, and ideally the leads that are coming in, there are more leads than you have time and attention to devote to those leads to convert them, and that is a time where you want to add that appointment setter to start handling those leads. Hence the gasoline emoji. That is exactly what an appointment setter is. They are gasoline to the fire that's already burning, that's already working, and we're adding fuel to that fire. Okay, very important. We already have a proven to convert funnel. I'm going to get more into that. But in terms of numbers of what we're actually achieving with them, appointment setters should be booking an additional 10% of leads that come in into book calls. The lead to book call ratio, it's the most important thing to track with an appointment setter. It should be an additional 10%. Just for numbers, if you are generating, let's say, 1,000 leads every single month, I'd say about 10% of those should already be booking into your calendar just from your VSL, and an additional 10% should be booked in from an appointment setter, getting around 200 book calls every single month. Now, in terms of revenue and what this should look like, an appointment setter should add an additional at least 100K every single month. That is kind of bare minimum. Now, that's not a set in stone rule, but when you get less than 100K every single month from an appointment setter, the odds of that working out long term drop drastically. Simply, they're not making enough money as an appointment setter. Their churn rate will be high. They will be revolving doors, which most appointment setters are. So that is the number that you want to have in mind. Now, keep in mind, every business has seasons where the offer is absolutely ripping, and then the offer is a lot more dry. So you can go below that, but when you bring on an appointment setter, that is the benchmark to have in mind. I'm bringing this guy on. He's adding an additional 6 figures, ideally 200K, 300K every single month, just by having him on the team. Now, the most important aspect of this is that proven to convert funnel. And I want to dive into that because your funnel likely looks something like this. Maybe it's a little bit different, but from a bird's eye view, you already know how to get attention, how to convert that attention into leads, and how to convert those leads into paying customers. That is a non-negotiable in terms of your funnel. It has to be proven out. And what that looks like is you ideally have content and ads already running, already dialed in, and already profitable. At a bare minimum, you have at least have content. You have an audience. It doesn't need to be a crazy big audience. It doesn't even need to be on all 6 or 7 platforms, but at least 1 or 2 platforms. You have a decent sized audience. People know you, like you, and trust you. And most importantly, they want to learn more from you. They want to get more information. So what does this look like in terms of numbers? At a bare ass minimum, bottom of the barrel, you need to have at least 500 new leads coming in every single month to even make it worthwhile to have an appointment setter. This is like absolutely bare minimum. I would say you want this closer to at least 750 or ideally 1,000 leads every single month that you're generating. But if it's below 500, it doesn't make sense to have an appointment setter. Now, of those 500 leads, you should already be booking about 10% onto a closing call, into a sales call already, just from your VSL and your email list and the nurturing that's going on. Now, this doesn't happen overnight. Somebody may come across you on Instagram. They see a webinar, they attend that webinar, and they get your pitch. They're like, nah, not quite yet. I don't want to do this. They are on your email list, though. You push them to another YouTube video, and they get a lead magnet that's really helpful, and then now YouTube's retargeting them, and they see another YouTube video, and they get another lead magnet, and they're like, wow, okay, this guy's blowing me away. I'm going to watch this VSL. Now I'm going to convert and I'm going to book a call. Okay. So it does take, there's a sales cycle to this. It does take time, but ideally when that time has caught up on any given month, if you're generating 1,000 new leads, about 100 of those are already booking a call. If it's not at 10%, then you want to make sure you are optimizing the VSL, optimizing the lead magnets, optimizing your top of funnel content, making sure the messaging is all aligned there before adding an appointment setter. So of that 10% that are booking a call, for this example, we have 50 book calls every month, which is, again, that's kind of bare minimum. That's 2 or 3 calls every single day. You want to have at least a 75% show rate in terms of those leads showing up to the call and being qualified, ready to have a good conversation. If it's cold traffic, you're running, paid ads to a very cold audience, the show up rate might be around 60 to 65%, which is okay. But if they are coming from your content, your lead magnets, they're opting in, you want to make sure it's at least 70, 75%. And if that is not there, again, that is an issue you want to solve before bringing on an appointment setter. You want to make sure you have your SMS and email reminders, you have pre-call videos, most importantly, your VSL is dialed in before bringing on an appointment setter. And lastly here, the close rate of these show calls needs to be at least 25 to 30%. 25% is kind of industry standard, bare minimum, at least a 20%, but 25% is what I would shoot for, every 4 calls that show up, one of them is closing. For this example, about 38, 37 are showing up, and about 9 or 10 of those are going to paid clients. If you're not quite there yet, again, more calls on the calendar is not going to help your close rate. You want to make sure you have a proven out sales process, a sales conversion rate of at least 25%. So these are the systems, the numbers, the infrastructure you want to have in place. And once you have dialed this in, that is when we bring on an appointment setter. So let's call this guy Jimmy, the appointment setter. We're going to plug him into this process. And their whole goal, like I said up here, their only job is to call these leads that you're bringing in, and you're doing 500 leads every single month, 1,000 leads every single month. It should be at least 20 new leads every single day. Just for rough numbers, 20 to 30 new leads that they can call, that they can have conversations with. And again, they're double dialing, triple dialing throughout the day. It's at least 100 to 150 dials every single day. So that could be your low ticket products, your lead magnets, your webinar. But ideally with 500 new leads every single month, if this everything is in place, they're adding an additional 50 sets every single month. And we're going to get into the numbers because this can vary depending on your offer price. But an industry standard, an appointment setter needs to at least generate 50 sets, 50 book calls every month for it to make sense to have them on board. Unless you are, more in the corporate space. And again, this is more for the high ticket offers, less corporate SDRs. That's, kind of a separate industry for what appointment setters are doing. But 50 sets is industry standard. Okay. Again, their show rate should be around 75%. That'd be 38 actual calls, 37 to 38 people that are showing up, ready to have a sales conversation, and around 9 or 10 clients being generated from your appointment setter. So if you look at these numbers, just by having an appointment setter work these leads right here, you are quite literally doubling your revenue with very little cost. All this is just commission to the appointment setters for these 10 clients that are bringing in. But again, when you have this in place, it is a cheat code to bring an appointment setter on because the systems are already in place. If they're not in place, then these numbers are not ideal and it won't make sense. So the last thing I want to go over in this video is why this will not work, why 90% of appointment setters fail, and what are the kind of key pitfalls you want to watch out for. Maybe you already have appointment setters you're managing, or you're thinking about bringing in appointments that are on. What are the things that you want to make sure you have in place so this doesn't fail like 9 out of 10 appointment setters in the industry, okay? Number one, you haven't systemized the setting process to even get to that 10% lead to book call. This is very simple. Appointment setters are just calling, mainly calling, texting, DMing, is usually a phone setter or a DM setter, whatever avenue you're going down, but they need to have a proven process of what to say, who to call, when to call, how to book a call, and a little bit about your offer, the objections, the type of prospect you're speaking with. Very fundamental stuff. This can be trained in literally like 3 or 4 days, in 72 hours, but you want to make sure you as the founder or you as a sales manager have called low ticket buyers, and you've set them on the calendar. You've called people that opt into a lead magnet, and you've set them on the closing calendar, and they've actually closed. You've called webinar, attendees, people that have attended a workshop, and you know how to navigate that conversation. You need live call recordings from each of these lead sources, whatever they may look like for you, and ideally like 5 of each, so an appointment setter sees exactly where people are coming from, how the process is run, and how it works. Okay, this is probably the number one reason appointment setters fail, because they don't understand the process, where people are coming from, where the messaging is, and you want to simplify that, prove it out, systemize it, and again, you simply just do that by doing it yourself, and then removing yourself by giving it to an appointment setter in a systematic format. Okay, number 2, your offer and delivery is just average, and nobody wants it. Okay, you're like a 5 out of 10 at a bar, and you don't get much action. Maybe you get a little bit of action at the end of the night, but it's not much. Okay, it's not hitting, and when you don't have product market fit, or it's just a 5 out of 10. It's not a need. It's not an irresistible offer. Your appointment setters, your closers, your whole sales team is swimming upstream against the current, and it's very, very hard to get momentum for them. And oftentimes you'll blame your appointment setter, but truthfully, your offer is just shit. So make sure you have an irresistible offer. You have that product market fit. You have testimonials. That's a before thing. Again, optimizing this funnel before bringing an appointment setter on. Okay, number 3, you have unaligned content and ads, and you're generating disqualified leads. Okay, you ideally want to have a straight line from the very top of funnel content all the way down to a client, and I would even say into the fulfillment here as well. This should be an absolute straight line. The messaging should be congruent. You know who you're talking to, what pain points they have, the audience, and everything is in line right there. Unaligned content, if you're getting just disqualified leads, let's say you are selling a systems offer about how you build Airtable solutions, and then you're talking about your Lamborghini and your penthouse in whatever city, that is just not going to be aligned. You're going to get a lot of people that want freedom coming in, and the solution's just not aligned. Your appointment setter is going to have a very tough time converting these into book calls when the messaging is off. Okay, 4th, it's very similar to that, it's just inconsistent content and ads. A lot of founders, they get some traction online and then they stop posting, but you need to have a content calendar. You know what you're posting, when you're posting. You've proven that you have a system for content or a system for ads where you can consistently generate leads. It's not 1 month you have 1,000 leads, the next month you have 200 leads coming in. There's always going to be, varies in terms of lead flow, but you want to make sure that's dialed in. Number 5, split focus. And this is probably one of the biggest reasons why appointment setters fail, is there's too many lead magnets. There's too many low ticket offers. There's workshops over here. And the person you're speaking with, it should be very, very similar at each time for an appointment setter. It should be a rinse and repeat process. One of the offers I was on in the past had about 10 to 15 low ticket courses from $27 to $97. And the amount of people that are looking for this solution over here, this avatar is looking for this thing, it's all over the place. And as an appointment setter, you want to have a rinse and repeat process. You don't want to have them in Facebook groups messaging people here, and then they're calling webinar attendees for this thing over here, and then there's a low ticket or a mid ticket over here. Again, I'm a big fan of an offer stack, having offers that align, but you want to make sure there is that clear line from top to bottom in terms of who you're targeting and who you're reaching. That's probably the biggest reason why appointment setters fail, is you're barely scraping the 500 to 1,000 leads a month, and they're coming in from all different avenues, and you're thinking your appointment setter can just be this superhero that goes into your ManyChat and Instagram and then into your Facebook groups for 2 hours and then call leads here, and you want to have a systematic process. Okay, number 6, you have shit show-up systems. Your show rate's below 70%. I touched on that earlier, but you want to have the pre-calls, the reminders and email and SMS. If your show rate's below 70% already, again, when an appointment setter comes in, their show rate should be much higher. If they're speaking to an appointment setter and they set them on the calendar, it should be higher than 70%. But if your show rate is, let's say, 50% from just the funnel, adding an appointment setter is just going to usually add more no-shows to your calendar. So you want to make sure that's in place, and then appointment setter should raise that percentage even higher. Okay, number 7, you have a shit sales process. Your close rate is below 25%. Again, more book calls does not equal more sales if you are not converting those sales calls at least 20-25%. So make sure that's in place. Number 8, and this is probably just the biggest reason, as I touched on earlier, the numbers don't add up. And you want to make sure you actually do these numbers, because if you don't, you won't have success. So what I mean by that is, let's say an appointment setter is generating 10 new clients every single month. You need to do the math on that, okay? If your offer is, let's say, 8K, that's a one that I've sold on, and you're generating, let's say, 80K in additional revenue by having that appointment setter on your team, and then they get about 5% of the revenue that they generate, or the cash collected, and they'll get paid out when the payment plans come in. They're only generating, from my math here, I think that would be about 4K per month in terms of these numbers. So again, you can see this is kind of the bare minimum, and that's why I like to say 100K per month in additional revenue, because you want to have a margin of safety. If an appointment setter is making less than 4K, than 3K a month, they may as well just get a job at McDonald's. Okay, they're close to that minimum wage when they're making 2,500, 2K a month, and they're not going to be willing to hit the phones, dial all these leads, and do all this stuff when you're paying them at a minimum wage position. So you want to make sure the numbers line up. Ideally, they're hitting a 4K, OTE every single month, but ideally 5K. That's 60,000 a year. If it's 4K, it's 48,000 a year. You want to make sure it's higher than that. So you want to actually reverse engineer these numbers. Okay, so what do they need to make to have them there? I would say 5K or 4K is kind of bare minimum of where you want them at. What is the commission structure? It's likely 5%. What is the deal size? If you have a 18K offer or a 28K offer, well, you can adjust these numbers, and they only need to bring in maybe 4 or 5 clients every single month. And then the sets only need to be about 20 to 30 sets every single month. If your offer is a 5K offer, again, you're going to have to do a lot more. You're going to have to bring in 20 new clients to hit this 100K a month. So you need to reverse engineer these numbers in terms of their OTE, going all the way up to how many sales they need to bring in, what is your average cash collected per sale, how many calls they need to have showed up, how many sets in general, how many leads they need to convert, and making sure all these numbers are aligned. Really auditing this, because you'll find that there's usually a gap in the funnel at somewhere or another. Maybe they're just not booking 10% of these leads that are coming in. Is it a lead issue? Is it a skill issue where they haven't systemized the process? Maybe the show rate is in the shitter, it's 50%. Well, that is the big gap. You want to make sure all these numbers are aligned. So yeah, that is all I got for this video. If you guys like this video, drop a like. If you don't like it, drop a dislike. Drop a nice comment, drop a mean comment. Give me a little something. I'm just starting this channel up, so I'd appreciate all that. If you want me to make a second video on any of these topics here, about show rates, about anything here, I can definitely make a second video. So you let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.